Well, friends, the flood is here. Just this week, we're having a month-end dump in U.S. Treasuries. And by that, what I mean is we are dumping so many U.S. Treasuries onto the market all at once that it is impacting interest rates across the economy. Friends, we got one thing after the next happening, and it is impacting in people's investments, is impacting everything that people have out there. Companies are going woke. Sometimes they just can't even change to the rapidly changing times that we're in. And times are indeed changing. A lot of people are really rethinking what they're doing with their investments, and that's really wise. Because what worked yesterday is looking like it's not going to work out very well in the future. We're going to talk about some investment things. We're going to talk about Steve, as an accountant by trade, I've seen people's investments inside and out, hundreds and hundreds of people's investments. I've seen what they're doing. I'm not a financial advisor, but I have some opinions for sure, having seen how people fared after they had financial advisors help them. All right, friends, let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. Like I said, I used to be a tax accountant, and I still am certified to do that, and I still do my own taxes and a few other people's, but we have the US dollar, and things have been good for a very, very long time. If you're American, or if you're in an economy that basically is propped up by the dollar, things have been good. We've been basically ransacking the whole world. You see how much money that the U.S. federal government spends versus how much the federal government actually brings in. And you kind of go, well, how can they spend so much more than what they get in taxes? And the reason for that is basically we have the entire world subsidizing through inflation our spending binge. And that's really where we come to the point where we see that inflation is a dollar problem. It's not just an economic problem. When you look at how much gold it takes to purchase certain things, it's amazing how steady it's been over generations and over the centuries, really. You go back to ancient times and you see that houses cost, in the same ballpark as what they cost today in gold. Now, I'm not saying the same price, because obviously we have a lot more gadgets and gizmos and electricity and stuff like that. But when you start looking at back in, let's see here, 1252, 10 ounces of gold would buy you a small family home. 10 ounces would be about, $2,300, $2,500-ish dollars, right? So 25 to less than $30,000 for a small family home that doesn't have electricity, to get that wired and brought up to modern standards a little bit more. I mean, you'd be looking at $50,000 to $100,000. That's not too far off, right? I mean, given the amount of time it actually takes to physically build the structure plus the land that you're purchasing, it's in the ballpark, right? When you start looking at food, we can go back to Roman times and see how much food costs, and basically the amount of gold that it took to purchase the food that you would eat is not too off from what we're doing here. Gold and silver and these precious metals have held their value over many thousands of years, but stocks haven't. If you go back to the days of the tulip mania in the Netherlands, right? That was the first economic bubble that was really kind of like a stock market bubble. Sure, the people that bought tulips, they fared well at first, but oftentimes most of them lost all of that fake value because it wasn't real value, right? The tulips themselves really weren't worth that much, even though people were willing to pay for them in the short term. So the US dollar, the US economic voodoo system is really getting prepped for a crash. And here's why. We have an election. There's really two options. There's three options, but there's two basic options. One side wins or the other side wins, right? The third option is nobody wins and we all just fight it out, which is not an insignificant risk, right? But let's play this out. Kamala wins. The stock market knows that's bad. Taxes are going up. The economy is going to do worse. Stock market comes down. That's a base case. Everybody knows that. Right now, the stock market's up because they think Trump's going to win. But let's think that one through. What's Trump going to do when he gets in office? Well, you say, well, he's going to cut tax rates. Maybe. I mean, that's his plan. He'd like to cut taxes more and stimulate the economy. Okay, cool. He's also going to bring in tariffs, which is bad for the stock market, right? Most of the companies on the U.S. stock market are basically importing stuff from other countries. So that's bad for the stock market. But, maybe that's a wash. But then you think about this. Elon Musk thinks that he can cut $2 trillion of waste from the federal government. Now, that sounds good. But remember, that's $2 trillion that's being spent right now and is going to somebody. Now, is it going to the rich people who, own stocks, own companies? Yeah, that's where it's going. It's not going to you and I, right? The $2 trillion of wasted federal government money doesn't go to you and I. It goes to wasteful spending. It goes to billionaires, and it goes to the rich corporations. They're able to suck up these contracts and basically overcharge for the toilet seats and the wrenches and everything like that. You and I don't get to pull that off, right? So with those companies making a whole heck of a lot less money at the government's expense, is that going to be good or bad for stocks? All these defense contractors that suddenly don't get all these lucrative contracts where they basically are ripping the federal government off. Well, that's going to bring those stocks down. And you'd be surprised how many of these companies, they're padding their bottom line by fleecing the federal government. And with all that waste, it's propping up the stock market. And if they even go anywhere near what Ron Paul has been asking about them auditing the Fed, all these kind of things, if you think that drying up the stream of corruption is going to be good for the stock market, which is fundamentally corrupt itself, yeah. So Kamala wins, stock market goes down. Trump wins, it may go up for a moment, but he's not even going to be president for 2.5 months. What's going to happen between him being elected and him actually getting into office? Do you think that there might be somebody motivated to sabotage the system before they leave? So we have that. And then when they start cutting federal bureaucracy, you think any of those people are going to have motivation to sabotage things on the way out the door? We're heading into a time of great financial and economic uncertainty. And if you were knowing before 2000 that we're heading into a time of economic uncertainty, and you had pulled your money out of the stock market and put it somewhere safe. Same thing in 2008. You said, this doesn't make sense. All this stuff is absolutely crazy. Maybe I should just sit on the sidelines for a little bit. You would have done very, very well. Some of the people that did that, they pulled their money out of the stock market and just kind of waited on the sidelines. Some people outright shorted the market. I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that unless you know what you're doing. And make sure that you are not putting all your chips on one date or something like that. Make sure you have the ability to wear out the market, not crashing right away. But moving your money to something safe and stable, that's why we partner with Genesis Gold, because they believe in what we're talking about. They're a sponsor of many of these videos, including this one, and they don't tell me what to say. They don't tell me what to say because Jonathan and his team, I've talked with them, they believe in what I'm talking about. They absolutely believe what we're talking about, and they want word to get out. And I believe in what they're doing and what they're talking about, which is getting people Most people don't have a lot of money sitting around ready to invest in gold and silver. Most people are buying up canned goods. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck with maybe some emergency savings, everything like that. And that's why this is such a great opportunity. Is like a lot of people have retirement accounts that have a fair bit of money in them, and taking that money and moving that into something safe like gold, silver, or platinum is really the best option, I think. It's something that should not be done lightly, but it's money that it's invested in stocks, it's invested in utility companies, it's invested in foreign countries, it's invested in debt for local city governments like San Francisco. You'd be surprised when you actually look into what you're actually invested in. That money could be put into safe things like gold, silver, and platinum. And when you actually take a distribution out of your account, you actually get the precious metals. You don't, like, you buy them, they go to the vault, and then you can check on them in the vault and everything like that. But then the vault sends them to you when you get a distribution, right? It's not like they send you a check and you never sell the metals. It's you get the metals sent to you, which is real physical metals that you can purchase with money that you have in your retirement accounts. And if you had done this a year ago, you would be doing very, very well. And I think that when you find a year from now, you will have done very, very well. We got all these central banks buying up gold, and now we're starting to have central banks starting to buy up silver. There is not all that much silver out there. There's less silver out there by the year. Each year, the last 3 years, there's less silver out there than there was the year before. And investments, people who have investment silver is actually dumping it into the market, and it's being used for industrial purposes. It's being used by central banks to start building up, and other banks are buying it up as well. So I think, I've said before, I'm a silver bug myself. I get gold. But I understand gold, and I get why people do that. But I like silver. I really like silver. I think it's a great investment opportunity. I think it's been manipulated dramatically, and I think that we're going to see sooner or later it's going to break out. We're going to have China and Russia basically breaking the system, the control system that's been used to manipulate silver down. And when we see that go off, it's going to go off like a rocket. It's been doing some interesting things recently, but if you look back at gold, I talked about a house basically under 30,000. This was back in 1252. 1 ounce of gold would buy you 200 pounds of meat. Now, that's about $11 a pound, so that's a little more than what we'd be paying right now. But you also have to realize it wasn't like factory-made meat. This was like meat that was being raised by people. Their cows or cattle out there, and then it had to be hand slaughtered, and then this meat had to be sold relatively quickly, right? They didn't have freezers back in 1252. So $11 a pound is probably not too off of what it really should have been back then, when you think about all that went into it. And if you want to get organic grass-fed beef, by the pound. Now I multiplied it out. That wasn't so it was like, how much per 20 pounds of meat, and I just kind of took that by 10 and basically converted it for us. So 700 years ago, gold basically was worth roughly what it is today, in the ballpark. 700 years from now, the gold's still going to be worth it. 700 years from now, how much is your stock going to be worth? How much is your loan to the city of Chicago going to be worth? You think they're going to pay that back? How about the city of Sacramento or San Francisco or even New York City? Are they going to pay back their bonds? Maybe not. Is the United States government, their 50-year treasury bill, are they going to actually pay you back on that? I mean, I think a lot of people out there are waiting to sell it to a bigger sucker out there. But moving your investments over to gold, silver, platinum, I think is a smart move, or palladium even. And I think that one of the easiest ways to do that is using your retirement funds to make that shift. I think that if you make that shift, I've talked to a bunch of you guys who have done it. The peace of mind that you get from knowing that your investments are secure, no matter what happens in the next number of months, I think is a real big deal. Even if Trump gets in, we are probably still going to be in for a very rocky financial and economic season. Might want to get to a safe haven. All right, friends, if you want to reach out to Jonathan and his team over at Genesis Gold to talk to them and ask them questions about what it would look like, what the fees are, whether it's a good fit for you, you can find them down in the pinned comment down below. That's their phone number. You can just call them directly if you want to and just ask them some questions without even giving them much information about yourself to see if this is even feasible for you. And then if you decide to move forward with them, make sure you do mention this channel because you do get your setup fee waived. And that's a really big deal because that's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So definitely don't want to pay your setup fee. Make sure you mention this channel. All right, friends. Well, hopefully you guys take some smart moves. At least move some of your investments into more defensive things. That's not financial advice. That's just me seeing what happened in 2008 to people's stock portfolios. I've seen the impact of that over the years, and it took people a long time to recover from a lot of the damage. Don't be the last person owning tulips, okay? And that's where the stock market is today. It's up, it's high. It's a good time to switch over to something safe and stable and let other people follow that thing all the way into the ground, and then you can go look at investing in companies that are stable later with your money, but make sure it's protected for now. And just holding in dollars is not the best idea right now because you're losing so much due to inflation. All right, friends, if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them down in the comments down below, or reach out to Jonathan and his team over at Genesis Gold. But thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold and you want them to reach out to you, you can just tap on this thing here, opens up a form, fill out your information, and they'll reach out to you, or you can contact them directly down below. All right, friends, until I see you guys again later, Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.